What up, what up, what up, what up, YouTube? It's your boy, Mr. T Money 1993, back with another video, man. And I want to look at this Check the Mic episode with Steve Pozzolo and Sam Monson. And they made it the most essential non-quarterback on every NFC South team video. And I kind of wanted to tune in and react and see if I agree or disagree with what they got going on. Let's tune in.
Division 8 of 8, starting with the Atlanta Falcons.
I think James Pierce Jr. is now the most important player that isn't the quarterback for this team because he's already skirted the idea of being in real trouble and not on the team. So, they made that big trade to go get him. In part, they thought he was that good, but also they were prepared to live with the risk of, what he is in terms of character, in terms of an off-field risk, and that almost came back to bite them already. It looks like they've gotten away with it, but now you've had one risk in that regard. Can he keep himself?
Which is crazy because that was the knock on James Pierce coming out. Like, people was like, he's one of the best pass rushers, but a lot of people thought he was going to drop even further because he was a character concern. And so in your first offseason, you getting accused of, acting a fool with Rickea Jackson. So if you can't keep him out of trouble in one offseason, how you gonna keep him out of trouble for the rest? So I definitely could see that. If we're just talking about on the field, I would say James Pierce or Drake London, because at this point, Drake London is a whole receiving core.
Self on the field.
I think it's fair to take Pierce. Jalen Walker, Pierce had more sacks last year. Jalen Walker, you could maybe argue, is more productive down for down. I think Pierce could also improve down to down, rushing the passer, finishing plays. And so I think there's another step forward in his game. I also wonder if the new regime doesn't want him. They didn't draft him.
Maybe.
They might not want to deal with that. And he becomes important just because you got to put him out there, let him play pretty well, rehab the image a little bit, and maybe they trade him. I don't know. I don't have any insight on that. I'm just curious.
I don't see the Falcons trading James Pierce. I think if he did enough trouble where he had to get traded, he would probably be in trouble where he cut.
Where the new group.
Who would trade anything for him though at this point?
I don't know. It depends. They drafted him, but yeah, there's more information now. So anyway, Pierce is important for various reasons. I went with Drake London. Always a huge.
That was my other pick. At this point, their receiving core is definitely Drake London.
Drake London fan. They just paid him to be very important, third highest APY among receivers. You can move him around,
right.
Can win on in the slot, over the middle of the field, outside. If Michael Penix Jr. is going to win the job, if you're going to see what you have in Michael Penix, he loves throwing the ball to Drake London. If Tua, wins the job, he needs a go-to guy. He was always feeding Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think he'll be looking to London often if he's the guy. So Drake London's the guy for me for the Falcons. I mean, you can make the case for Kyle Pitts. I just, coming off of a career year, I just wouldn't put him over London as far as importance goes.
I don't even think Kyle Pitts has a case. Bijan would have a case over Kyle Pitts. AJ Terrell would have more of a case over Kyle Pitts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
Jalen Walker, if you're going to put Pierce, you could put Walker for different reasons, but
yeah,
you just need that type of production.
Right. I think Pierce over Walker on the basis that Pierce is a bigger risk to just not be there.
Yeah.
Walker, whatever he emerges into, good or bad, you imagine he's going to be part of the team, contributing to some degree or other. The thing with Pierce is he could be still the best pass rusher in this team and a really positive impact player, or he could be one more arrest and he's gone, right? Like, that's the range of outcomes for him. It's way broader than for Walker.
All right, let's go Carolina Panthers. Most important non-quarterback for the Panthers.
I went with Derek Brown. The tone setter on that defense, huge impact playmaker in his own right. Not, a pass rush monster, but a really big player for them physically and metaphorically.
Yeah, I mean, given the additions that they've had on the defensive line.
Derrick Brown is an extremely big case. I mean, we saw a couple years ago when he was hurt, we looked like one of the worst defenses in the league. So I'm not knocking Derrick Brown. That's definitely a good case.
I think it continues to give Brown the opportunity to shine with Jalen Phillips, Nick Scorton, Uman Mielen, Turk Wharton. It's a much better defensive line when it was just Brown and Shai Tuttle up front. I went Teterow and McMillan, back to the receiver well, as I've done.
T-Mac, that's definitely a good name. We've seen how different our receiving core looked with a true number one. And as much as people like Jalen Coker, I don't think he's ready to be a number one. So that's definitely two good names.
Quite a bit. I know you tried to avoid it, but you just see the difference McMillan makes for Bryce Young, the ability to catch those passes down the field that, Bryce will drop some dimes in there. They were getting dropped quite a bit in his first couple of years. McMillan's ball skills, being a go-to guy, I think he opens things up for Jalen Coker, who's a nice compliment. I'll say this, when they were picking at 19, wherever they were, and they go tackle with Monroe Freeling, I was wondering what a Mekhi Lemon would do with this offense and maybe take some pressure off.
I had a lot of names on my list. If you've seen that video, if you haven't, you should go check it out. But Mekhi Lemon was not one of those names.
McMillan and add that slot, but they did bring Chris Brazzell. So now you've got size, you got some speed. So it's a good receiving core, but McMillan's still the go-to guy.
We definitely playing basketball with the receiving core. I mean, between T-Mac, Coker, Chris Brazzell, ACL, we really got some big receivers.
So he's still the guy. You can make the case for J.C. Horn at corner because of the pressure that they put on him, playing to the boundary where you're facing X receivers and you're moving him around. But I think they've got more options now than they.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it.
Mike Jackson,
Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want.
Sorry for that.
Than they did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, you can make an argument for either of the big free agent signings, Devin Lloyd, Jalen Phillips, just again because of the investment and therefore expectations that are going to come along with them.
Definitely Phillips too because of the injury history.
Out of those two, it would definitely be Devin Lloyd because our linebacking core is not it. Especially without him on it.
And if he's out there, he is an impact player.
Yeah, that's probably it. I don't think you'd zero in on any of the offensive linemen. Like Monroe Freeling is pretty important, but they've got alternative options, even if they don't necessarily they don't need to play him right away. That's what they've got in reserve. So I don't think you can rival the players that we've talked about.
All right, let's go New Orleans Saints, most important non-quarterback.
I went with Chase Young because I think, again,
Chase Young definitely had a resurgence in that Saints uniform. And at this point, he's pretty much their whole pass rush.
If they don't have him, that defense does not have pressure, whereas Olave would be the other obvious one. But theoretically, they've just drafted a complement, but also a potential successor or alternative if they want to.
Yeah, I think them drafting Jaden Tyson does kind of lower Chris Olave. But he is very important. And when he is on the field, he does ball for them.
Move on from Olave. So I don't think that's as critical. Whereas if Chase Young, they've resuscitated his career, he's stayed healthy for a little bit, and he's been really good. They didn't have Chase Young. They don't have much.
No, I think that's a fair assessment. I did say Chris Olave because I still think they need him. They need both, right? They need multiple options.
Olave is not over Chase Young, and I would say maybe even Kool-Aid McKinstry as far as their corners.
At receiver, Olave, they've got decision to do they want to be tied to him long term. So I think it's Olave. I think he his ability to win down the field, good route runner. I think he brings a lot to the table, and they need to rely on him. It's another team that I think the roster's gotten better, but maybe don't have the star power. Chase Young makes a ton of sense because they've started to see the spurts of that.
And Granderson's a solid player. I don't want to dismiss the talent of Carl Granderson, but
no,
I'm just saying, you take Chase Young off that.
If Carl Granderson was the number one defensive end, that is a completely different defense.
defensive line, and suddenly that looks like one of the worst groups in the NFL in terms of generating pressure.
So it's not great, but yeah, Chase Young makes sense, and then Olave and the Jordan Tyson 1-2 punch. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on Tyson too, just with the health and everything. But you need a go-to receiver for Tyler Shough, I think, in the coming years, and Olave is the most important one to stay healthy and be that guy.
And then Kool-Aid McKinstry is the only other guy that I think I would throw out there as an option.
I'm telling you, I'll be on it.
If they didn't have him, that would be a problem group at corner.
They're moving in the right direction, but you can see I think they're a little fragile, relying on this group, these players here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's wrap it up. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I think it's Ruben Bain. I think because of what Ruben Bain could be.
That's definitely, because if Ruben Bain played like he did at Miami, that's a completely different defense, because this defense has not really had a pass rusher in a long time. Ruben Bain, if he balls like he did at Miami, would change the whole dynamic of their defense.
If they have managed to steal this guy in the mid-first round because he had short arms, that could be one of the most important picks of this entire draft, and therefore the most important non-quarterback on that team.
I considered Bain because of what you said, right? That depending on how you view this, if we're talking about the high-end potential of what Bain brings to the table, tone setter, run through your face guy, bull rusher on one side, the power that he has, I think there's a lot to it, man.
Like, Bain could easily be the best player from this draft, and they were able to get him in the middle of the first round because he had historically stumpy arms, and that scared people. If that turns out not to matter, if it turns out that the guy who didn't have any problems with the arms at college doesn't have any problems with the arms at the NFL level, then they may have just stolen the best player in this draft midway through the first round and added him to a defense that could use an injection of talent.
I think
that's very true. Like I said, he changes the whole dynamic of this defense if he comes out and balls year one.
Definitely something to that. Opens things up for Yaya Diaby. I think there's a good case for Ruben Bain. I debated, trying to avoid just putting receivers out there, but I put Tristan Wirfs because he's one of the best left tackles.
That's another good name. That O-line looks completely different when Tristan Wirfs isn't in there. Another name I would probably say is maybe Antoine Winfield. I feel like Antoine Winfield with them young corners, Zion McCollum coming off a rough year. I think he's very important to have a bounce back year because I don't think he was that good last year either. So, yeah, Antoine Winfield would probably be my third name.
Because we've seen his ability to play right tackle, play left tackle. They don't need him to do that, but good in the run game, excellent in pass protection. We've also seen Baker Mayfield, when he has a backup left tackle at points in his career, he's peaking a little bit. I think it changes. When he doesn't have good pass protection, it changes the way Baker Mayfield plays.
And specifically, their backup left tackle, I think, is now Justin Skule, who the Vikings had as backup left tackle and who was genuinely catastrophic.
Yeah,
I mean, anytime, because remember, the Vikings were dealing with this thing where Darisaw was coming back off injury, but they were like on a pitch count or they would take him out of a game. And anytime they took him out and Skule came in, it's like, forget it, game over, like write it off. The offense is now done. It can't function with Justin Skule at left tackle. Yeah.
I didn't realize Justin Skule was their backup. Yeah, it could get tricky real fast. It could get bad real fast.
No, it's an unfortunate thing for Skule, but he doesn't look like a viable offensive tackle at this point. And if that's who the Bucs turn to when Wirfs gets hurt, if and when, that would be huge.
Yeah, so part of this is like Wirfs needs to be out there. I know he missed a few games last year, and that was when Baker was an MVP candidate the first 3 weeks of the season. I'm just saying most of the time I'm looking at the offensive line as the collective. But in Baker's case, I do think it makes him a little bit more fragile playing style. He was an MVP candidate the first 3 weeks of the season, 4 weeks of the season when Wirfs was hurt, in part because he was running and picking up first downs, and it's like that's not ultimately Baker's best playing style. So I went with Wirfs. The other
Baker thinks that's his best playing style.
Answer, I think, is Emeka Egbuka because of how good he was early in the season and because Mike Evans is out. And so you got to see him.
I thought about Egbuka, but I think they really I think they think Chris Godwin's going to bounce back. I also think they like this what's the young kid they got out of Georgia Southern? Ted something. I think they think he's going to ball out too.
Be a number one option for a period of time last year. He wasn't able to do it consistently throughout the season. But if he can, I think that changes the fortunes. of this team. So I think there's a lot of interesting type of players for the Bucks as far as who's important. Wirfs for various reasons because he's great and you just don't want to lose him. Ibuka because of Evans leaving and what he flashed last year, and then Bane because, of the potential that he has to maybe transform what that defensive line's capable of.
Yeah, another one where, again, wide receiver of some kind is really important, but again, it doesn't really matter whether it's Godwin, Ibuka, McMillan. One of those guys just needs to step up and replace a lot of what they lost in Mike Evans.
You could say Antoine Winfield Jr., given all of the
Thank you. I was waiting on it.
Individually impactful plays that he's made throughout the years for this Bucks defense. You could make the case for any of the young corners needing to step up because they've been there's been turnover there over the last couple of years, but I think we've had some good options for the Bucks.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end.
Well, appreciate Check the Mic. I do watch them sometimes. I haven't seen them in a minute. I think this video is from about a month ago. But I appreciate anybody who stuck around for this long. This is your boy, Mr. Tillman, 1993, aka the original Panthers fan podcast. I'm out of here.